Thomas and the Statue. Winter was coming to the island of Sodor. The leaves had fallen from the trees, and fog rolled over the countryside. One chilly morning, Sir Topham Hatt came to Tidmouth Sheds. He had a special announcement to make. He said. The engines were very excited. Thomas was to collect the statue from Brendam Docks. Pete Percy, puffed Thomas, and he steamed away. But when Thomas arrived at the docks, Cranky was still unloading the statue. Said Thomas. Cranky didn't like being rushed. He scoffed. Thomas didn't say anything. He was too busy watching the workmen open the crate. The statue was covered by a large waterproof sheet. It had a very familiar look. There was a tall funnel shape at the front, and then a wide shape at the back. The shape was just like Thomas's shape. Suddenly, Thomas was very excited. He whistled. That night, Thomas couldn't wait to tell the other engines about his statue. But when he arrived at the sheds, all the engines were asleep. Thomas was too excited to sleep. He peeped his whistle to wake Percy up. Boasted Thomas. Yawned Percy. Tooted Thomas. He couldn't wait for morning to come. The following day, Sir Topham Hatt told the engines they were to go to the washdown. All except Thomas. He was to collect more things for the statue. First, Thomas went to Wellsworth Station. He had to collect a special block for the statue to stand on. He called to Edward. Huffed Edward. But Thomas wasn't listening. Next, Thomas arrived at Mayfleet Station. He had to collect a special podium for Sir Topham Hatt to stand on. Thomas cried to Emily. Emily huffed, said Thomas, and he wheeshed away. Percy arrived as Thomas's trucks were being unloaded. Thomas started to talk to Percy about his statue again. Peeped Percy. Thomas was surprised. Percy added crossly. Thomas was left all alone. No one was talking to him. Thomas felt very sad. Thomas steamed toward Tidmouth Sheds. It had started to snow heavily, but Thomas kept going as fast as he could. He had to try to put things right with his friends. But when he arrived at Tidmouth, Sir Topham Hatt was there. He looked worried. He said sternly. Tooted Thomas. The other engines were very surprised. They knew Thomas didn't like his snowplow, and clearing the tracks would make Thomas late to see his statue. But Sir Topham Hatt was pleased. He boomed. Thomas steamed off. He could not let them down. But Thomas felt silly for showing off. No wonder no one was talking to him. There was still a lot of tracks to clear. Thanks to Thomas, everyone was able to get to Peel Station. They gathered nearby. The statue was covered in snow, but the sun had started to shine, and the snow began to melt. Sir Topham Hatt told everyone how proud he was of all his engines. But the engines were still thinking about Thomas, and they were still cross. Just then, there was a loud slooshing noise. A big patch of snow slid off the statue. Then another. Then another. The last of the snow fell to the ground. The engines were so surprised, gasped Gordon. Pete Percy, everyone was excited. Then Thomas rolled up. He was very surprised when he saw the statue. He cried. Thomas was very relieved and very happy. He puffed, and all the engines agreed.